Sitting in the back of the classroom at the worst middle school in Pittsburgh, I distinctly remember hearing one of my teachers scream at a child and take out his frustrations on the rest of the class. "I don't care what you do or what you learn," he said. "I'm just here to get paid." No wonder he was so frustrated. Rather than focusing on education, throwing paper balls at teachers, slamming books on the floor, cussing, and violent gang fights were the norm at my middle school. The last thing in the world I wanted to do was to be a teacher and experience the same thing. The funny thing is that I was in fact a teacher throughout my childhood. One day when one of my teachers was really fed up, he just sat at his desk and told the worst student in the class, John, to sit with me for extra help. I was helping John with a reading exercise when my heart sank. I realized that he didn't know how to read in the 6th grade. At the time, I was shocked, but now it makes me want to cry because I know just how intelligent he was and how much potential he had. As I struggled to help him with the activity, I imagined how I would transform the class if I was the teacher. 10 years later, despite my early scorn for school, I found myself in a 5th grade classroom in Charlotte, North Carolina, as a Teach for America teacher. I remembered John and how he struggled but had great potential. He was still in Pittsburgh, just released from jail after being caught possessing drugs. I loved teaching. I loved those aha moments, like when Chandrika finally understood how to divide fractions after weeks of not being able to grasp it. I saw great potential, curiosity, and intelligence in all of my students. But it seemed as though every day was a rush to pack in as much learning as possible to students who were 2 to 4 grade levels behind. As soon as I felt like my kids were on the verge of getting it, the bell would ring and it would be time for them to go home. I wanted something more, a way to maximize the students' potential by meeting their needs without constraint and having the time to do so. When I interviewed for the campus director position, I asked my interviewer what constraints would be placed on my students. She delightfully replied, "Candice, the sky's the limit." Now at the end of my first year as a campus director, I truly understand what she meant. I'm still learning how to be a great campus director. By no means is it any easier than teaching. But without restriction, the students on my campus learn. Without restriction, they thrive as teammates. And without limitation, they have access to a quality education. If only the worst middle school in Pittsburgh would have had citizen schools.